You're live.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna sit tight for just a few minutes. So to answer your question, Alvin, I approached Ray about 2 weeks ago, mainly because, no, a week ago, mainly because what I wanted to talk to him about, I started seeing all this, the new stuff you guys were doing, and it's really, really exciting stuff. And for us, being in real estate, one of the things that I think we really need to develop is mental toughness and mental strength. And you guys epitomize that. And you've been a perfect example of it ever since you started the company, and even more so after Shark Tank. So I wanted to talk to Ray about that mental toughness and what your guys' journey has been like. But I'm going to sit tight. We're going to sit tight for just about 2 minutes just to get some people on here so that people can see this. So what have you been working on recently? You just talked about the thing with Target, yeah?
Yeah. So good news with Target. We've developed a relationship with them over the last 4 years, really. Just really trying to raise our brand awareness with them. They are they're good folks. There's a bunch of good folks at Target. And so they invited me out. And not to say they didn't invite Alvin, but they invited us out, and I took them up on the offer because they had a
Hold on one second. I'm getting background noise. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
That was my fault.
So they invited us out because they were doing this program, if you will, trying to highlight some of the entrepreneurs that they had done business with that had compelling stories. And so I went out, met with the special team, and then we really just started to build a relationship that was deeper than just the product, that was deeper than just trying to sell units. And they really gravitated to our story. And then I found out more about Target and the way they had launched their company from the founder. And it really intertwined. And so we left that meeting just talking about what the potential could be with us working and growing our relationship with Target. And then about 4 or 5 months later, Target reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, Ray, we have been talking internally about you and Alvin and the company, and we have this unique opportunity where we want to showcase Soap Socks and really tell your brand story to our national audience." And so we were like, wow, what would that entail? That's great. And they were like, well, we're still, working out the kinks, but we'll give you more information as we go. And then they slowly started giving us more information, and it was just a no-brainer. Like we pride ourselves on creating a product that really has a positive impact on families, that gives back to the community, and just being good human beings. That's really what it's about. And Target is Target. And two, I think that their mission is to really have an impact and do things and show their customers that they're giving back to the community and they care about the communities in which their shoppers come from. And so with our story, our unique story, and their mission to really showcase entrepreneurs that they think are kicking butt with compelling stories and compelling products, they thought it would be a great match for us to work with them. So we start shooting with Target next week in the wonderful, sunny, filled city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, where it's probably going to be, -7, I don't know.
Wow.
But we are excited to tell our brand story. We think it's going to be great. It really sets the tone for us in a national campaign and really helps us continue to do what we've been doing. So we're excited.
That's really cool. Really, really cool. Okay,
Thank you.
I know for those of you who are just logging in right now, you're hearing about the success story, but what most people don't get to hear is the grind, right? So let's backtrack now, you guys. Now let's go back to day one. And I know you've shared your story on Shark Tank. If you want to just give a real quick, 2-minute story of how the product was developed, but then I think what they really want to know is, how did you get on the show? What did you guys have to do to get on the show?
Yeah.
And I'll let you tell them what the results of the show were, and then how you guys responded to the results of the show. Because I think that's even more exciting than the fact that you guys were on it.
All right, so Alvin's my business partner, you guys know, if you've seen the show or if you know about Soap Socks. Alvin, I'm going to start with how how I developed the product, then us bridging it, and then you take Shark Tank, Alvin, just so you can tell that story, and then we'll wind down the end of it together. So for those who know me already, and for those who don't, I used to work as a program director at a group home for kids, an amazing facility called Hillside's Home for Children. You can Google it. They are the epitome of organizations that really just provide great services to kids that need it. So with that being said, I was in the trenches with the staff there doing crisis management work, and just trying to provide a good place for the kids to grow up and get the services they need. Long story short, 9-year-old kid refused to bathe because he couldn't take his favorite stuffed animal with him in the bathtub. I did what most parents do. You think out of the box, you got things you got to do. I ran up to our shed, grabbed another stuffed animal, modified it to hold soap, gave it to him. He took a bath. That was my go-to trick for kids over the years. Don't tell me how, but it was, and I was about getting results. And so when I worked with families throughout passing the area, it was my go-to trick. So long story short, this is pre-kids. Me and my wife were in our beautiful loft in downtown LA on the rooftop, and we had a lawyer friend of ours who did IP work, and he asked about the product because we were talking about it over beers. And he's like, "Ray, whatever happened to the product?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Man, I think it would be a great product. You should really consider it." So my wife and I talked about it, and we were pregnant with our first child. And I was really contemplating going into law enforcement. I was further along down the line in terms of contemplating going to law enforcement. And my wife asked me not to. And so part of our deal was, I was like, okay, I won't do it, but I really want to launch this company. And she was like, go for it. So long story short, me and Alvin were friends because we have mutual friends. We went to high school together. I went to high school with his wife. His brother and his sister-in-law were photographers at my wedding. They do amazing work. They're actually responsible for the commercials that we have. I walked into Alvin's office and was like, "Hey, Alvin, what do you do?" And he told me what he did, and he did amazing work for Disney, Mattel, and God knows, you name it. And the relationship was forged there in how we started the concepts of creating soap socks. So Alvin, you take it from here.
Yeah, so just like what Ray said, so it was an immediate. The relationship between us as entrepreneurs, like it's kind of like one of those things where you don't know each other that well, but at the same time you share the same passion for success. And so when he told me about his product, I'm like, you know what? I mean, I have geared my entire life waiting for an opportunity to prove myself, to develop a product just like this. Something that's unique, something that really tests my skills and everything I've learned. And it was just a perfect fit. So he and I kind of like, right there on that first day, we're like, hey, how can we make this work? And so we challenged ourselves to just really, let's just start with figuring things out, creating the product, see if we can get a patent. Next thing you know, we're on Kickstarter. And that's how we actually started. And I don't know if you talked about that yet, Ray, but so we wanted to test the product first in Kickstarter, and we immediately raised like what is it, like 51,000?
Yeah, 52,000 in 30 days.
Something like that. And we're like, okay, we have a viable product. So that's where we kind of just launched our product right there. Going to Shark Tank, I think they found us, I think. Actually, no, I take that back. I think Ray applied for Shark Tank online, right?
Yeah,
and then we got it's one of those things where it kind of just rolled like, we got something, the product wasn't even ready yet. Yeah, because we didn't have any prototypes or anything like that. We weren't quite ready yet. So
okay, so if you'll permit me, I just want to ask, because you're bringing up good stuff and I don't want to forget it. So the prototype, the product, you have the idea. What do you guys do? I know that, Ray, you had the stuffed animal and you created your prototype. So how does someone go from idea to like, okay, now I'm going to start creating these prototypes? Like, what is the next step for them?
Okay, so and this is what I would say applies across any craft that you or any type of work that you do, right? You can't just dive into something blindly. We taking it a couple steps back. We had an idea, and a million people have a good idea, but you don't know if it's viable. You don't know if people are going to respond to it the same way. And so the first step we did was we wanted to do something actionable. We wanted to create a physical product and see if our idea was only good in our head versus being good in the real world. And so we found a manufacturer, which was a tedious process, but we asked them. Alvin created the the images, we gave them the specs and what we wanted, and they created the actual product. And we put it out there in Kickstarter so that we can get a feel for it. And now I'll tell you, in all honesty, the people on Kickstarter, they just had the concept too. They didn't have the physical product. And at that time we were working it out, but we thought that if our concept was as viable as we thought it was in our heads, other people should get it too. So with that being said, they seemed to get it. And that gave us the resources to then make the physical product.
So you brought up a really good point, right? Okay, so when you went to Kickstarter, there was no product yet?
No product yet.
We had concepts.
We had concepts. We had concepts.
Initial ideas, illustrations of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Initial concept. And and Kickstarter actually allows you to have that platform where you take it from concept to finish.
Okay, cool.
So all along the way, we took it to every single step. All the backers were, in for the ride and kind of help them feel like they're part of the journey.
Cool.
Now we did also have some pre-sales though too, because some other retailers had heard about the product and they liked it and they were interested in purchasing it. So we did in fact sell some of the product before we'd even physically had large amounts of it. We had samples that we had made so that we could do the imaging and show a few people. But truthfully, Kickstarter was really where we really started to push out there. And after that, with those resources, we did the full production run and we did our first trade show. And this is step 2, really, right? You can have an idea, you can get a positive response, but really nothing matters until your product is out on the market and you can get a true response from people who would either like your product or say it sucks, unfortunately. Right. And lucky for us, and I think it was a little bit more than luck because we prepared, we did. We did our first trade show in Nordstrom, saw our product, and they loved it. We explained the concept. They thought it was something that was new and innovative that they hadn't seen before, and they immediately said, we want to work to bring you guys into the store. And so from that moment on, we felt as though our concept was validated, because I think you do need, especially as an entrepreneur at those early stages, you need to validate your concept on a number of different levels, because what you don't want to do is get into a pattern of throwing good money after bad. Now,
did you guys do that early on? And how did you recover from that?
So there's 2 parts to this. Throwing good money after bad and taking risk are two different scenarios. Taking risk, you need to take a risk as an entrepreneur. Venturing out on your own is, and once you've done this for any amount of time, you realize how much of a risk is when you look back on the milestones and the ups and downs of it. But when you're starting out, I think it's kind of, the saying is what? Ignorance is bliss. Right. Because you don't really have a full understanding of the magnitude of what you're about to embark on. And if you have any experience in the past as an entrepreneur, you do, which then sets you up to have a higher rate of success because you have those experiences. Now, everything was not all roses and I don't know, what's the saying? Roses and strawberries? I'm killing that saying right now. But it wasn't always a smooth road. We had the first set of samples that came back from a manufacturer that were terrible. And we were like, what is this? We went the route of trying to save money over quality. And we quickly realized, hey, we're going to have to spend that $1,000 per sample because we need our product to have that impact and really resonate with people. And so that was the first lesson. And so we started to put a little bit more money into the product and into the concept. But then as you expand and as you grow, I would tell other entrepreneurs, when you're doing this, do your homework, do your market research, realize and find out who your competitors are. Try to get a better understanding of what your true manufacturing costs are going to be. You need to write in the fact that mishaps are going to happen, whether it be a late shipment, whether it be damaged goods, whether it be a whole host of things. So this is why, going back to advice, and I don't necessarily give advice, stay in a space that you're familiar with. Not to say that you can't venture out, but it's easier to grow and expand in a space that you have some insight in already. And then you can tap the other resources of people in your network, mentors, advisors, other people who are successful at doing the things that you want to do, so that you can better prepare yourself for the tasks at hand and what it means to be an entrepreneur.
Cool. All right, let's talk about Shark Tank. So you applied online. I assume that they reached out to you.
Yeah, so we had this list of things that we wanted to hit in terms of milestones. we said Shark Tank was on the list. We wanted to do it. Now, we didn't know how we were going to do it or when we were going to do it, but it was on the list of companies we want to work with because it's a huge platform. It's a huge way of raising your brand awareness. And so Alvin and I talked about it, and we said, okay, we're going to do this. We just aren't sure when, but we had finally came to the conclusion of, okay, we're going to apply. So we did apply. And so Alvin makes two good points. We did apply and they did come to us. This is how this worked. We applied to be on Shark Tank. We didn't hear back from them for like 4 months. And we had done probably our second or third trade show, and we're really kind of getting into the groove of doing trade shows. Shark Tank's casting producer, Mindy, hope you're well, you're amazing, we love you, was walking by with her team of folks. They all had their badges turned down so that you wouldn't see where they were or who they were. And Mindy comes by and she stops and says, "What is this?" I was like, "These are soap socks. These are washcloths for kids." And she's like, "Why do you guys sound familiar?" And I was like, "Because we applied to be on Shark Tank a few months ago, but we haven't heard back." And she's like, "Oh, okay. You're going to get an email that says we're going to pass you over. Delete that email. I love this concept. We'll reach out again so we can take you to the next step." Wow. And so as soon as she said that, I went and I checked my email, and there's the email that says, "Unfortunately, we're not picking you because we have 39,000 other people applying." But we stayed the course. We stayed in the game. We stayed active. And by way of us being active in other avenues, we were able to cross paths with her and then salvage that opportunity that we didn't even know at the time that we had potentially lost. So with that being said, we met with her. She loved our concept. We went in and went through the steps, and it was an amazingly positive experience. Alvin, anything you want to elaborate?
Yeah, you're forgetting video. So I think she liked this. We weren't quite ready at the time. She asked us to submit an audition video, which is that infamous video that you see floating around the internet with us in the tub.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, and so there's a little bit of a divergence there because it just so happened we're still in the middle of our Kickstarter campaign. So we had sort of thought about like, how do we market this and capitalize on somewhat of potential Shark Tank exposure? And so we created Tank the Shark as part of our Kickstarter campaign. And I think that also facilitated, you know, Shark Tank seeing like, oh, you know, they're kind of pushing us, or there's an extension already being devised here. So I think kind of just helped us get, I guess, in front of them a little bit more as well. And going back to Ray's point, by that time we're ready. Second time around we're ready. We read the contracts, and I think there was a little bit of a thing too where we had to give away, like, what was it, 3% of all our.
So technically, I don't know if we can still disclose the percentage, but there was, Paul, something important that Alvin is hitting on too. We applied, Mindy had said yes, and they had taken us through the process. In probably 3 weeks before we were about to film, we had, of course, gotten through all the agreements, and there was a percentage, there was some terms in there that we weren't as thrilled about. But we kind of said, okay, in order for us to get this opportunity, we needed to make a business decision in terms of what we're willing to give up as a business owner to get to the next phase of business. And then sometimes in business, and Paul, you know this, and other people know this too, not that you compromise yourself, but sometimes you have to make concessions to get where you need to go. And I think for us, we knew that was one that we needed to make. And so we signed the agreement, and it took us to the next phase. Now, the tricky part in this is that 3 weeks before we were supposed to go down to Sony Studios and shoot, we had seen a company in a similar position with sales on Kickstarter, and they had done great. They had done roughly 150,000 in sales on Kickstarter. And they went on, but they had no in-store sales. Shark Tank panels destroyed them. They ripped them apart. And they were like, why are you here when you have no real sales? Sure, Kickstarter's great, but you have no real sales. You don't know how your product is going to perform in the market. So as a result, we're not doing a deal with you. The guy was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for him. And it really made us think long and hard about participating in Shark Tank at that stage. Mm-hmm. So me and Alvin made the hard decision to say, although we have this opportunity, we're going to pass on it. And so
Wow.
we went back to Shark Tank and said, hey guys, we can't do this now. We're not ready.
That's
In
crazy. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
yeah. It was, in hindsight being 2020, it was the best decision we ever could have made.
Okay.
We were able to go back, and from that 50,000 in Kickstarter sales, we were able to do 360,000 in revenue a few months after that. And so then we went back to Shark Tank probably 6 months later and said, hey, now we have 360 grand in revenue under our belt. Now we think and we believe that we have a viable product, and now we're comfortable showcasing our product on the show. And then we went on the show, and that's the scene or the show that everyone can see that aired.
Okay. So 360 in gross in gross sales?
Yeah, 360 in gross sales that year, in year one.
Fantastic. Okay, so I know you guys are doing trade shows. How else are we putting the product out there? Are you guys doing wholesale, online, retail? Do you guys still pick up the phone? Are you still calling people? Hey, I want to get my product on your shelves. What's that like? Because people think that these things just magically end up on the store shelves.
Okay, so after that 360 in sales, we went from 610 and then we crossed 1.2 million. So we've had some success since then, and we've been hustling. And all of that success comes from the work that you put in. Alvin will tell you and attest to it. I pick up the phone every single day. People are shocked that they're like, hey, Ray, are you one of the owners? And I'm like, yeah, it's me. How can we help you? The way that we have found success is building relationships. And I think that again, crosses any industry you're in. If you can build a genuine relationship with someone, they may not buy from you immediately. They may not be in the market now, but 6 months, a year to 2 years down the line, they may say, hey, you know what? You're just a good person that I can see myself doing business with. I like your product. Let me know more. And that gives you the opportunity to then build a relationship on it. The case in point, we were at a trade show. We met with Honest Company, and it was an amazing I don't know if I should say her name. There's an amazing staff from Honest Company, and we couldn't do business at the time. She's like, Ray, I'm not in a position to be the decision maker, but we love your product. So we were cool, talked. It was great. She's just an amazing person. She's out here in Santa Monica at Honest Company's headquarters. A year and a half later, she calls and says, Ray, guess what? And I was like, what's up? She's like, I got a promotion. I was like, congrats, that's awesome. And she's like, and guess what? And I was like, what? And she's like, Soap Stocks is going to do Honest Company is going to do a partnership with Honest Company, or Honest Company is going to do a partnership with Soap Stocks. And I was like, get out of here. And that speaks to our ability, and I think any entrepreneur's ability to form a relationship without necessarily needing the immediate gratification of being successful right away. It's building a true relationship that's mutually beneficial and potentially something you can build off of. And so all of the relationships we distribute to QVC, we sell to Target, we sell to Walmart, we sell to Buy Buy Baby. All of those accounts are from sweat, equity, and hard work. You going out and building relationships with the buyer. And some of those, and most of those, didn't happen overnight, but over the course of years of doing business and consistency and being genuine, it allows people to get to know you, get to know your brand, and get to know your company. And then in an opportunity that presents itself, they may otherwise have gone for someone else. They say, hey, this person's always been honest. They've always been sincere. They've been always easy to work with. So let's see if we can create a relationship and do some business together.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad you shared that, because I think a lot of times people hear these numbers and it's easy to get lost in 1.2 million in sales. Yeah. It's easy to get lost in those numbers and forget what it took to get to those numbers. It wasn't. It just didn't happen on its own. You guys were doing the traveling, you were doing the shows, and you were picking up the phone and making those calls, man. And
you have to. You have to.
Yeah.
And a part of this during this process, and I think it's important to know. One of the questions that I was thinking about that you guys sent over was, the impact that it has on your family and what you compromise. You compromise. You do. You compromise time with your family. You compromise time with your wife and your kids, and you compromise sometimes the good stuff and fun stuff that you think you could be doing that you have to put on the back burner. Alvin will attest to it. There's been nights where I've gotten 4 hours of sleep. I've done 20-hour work days. And that's just a part of the sacrifice. And in a lot of those instances, my family just got back, so they're going to be coming in. A lot of those instances, come here, Max, you can say hi. Come here. You're going to be on the Facebook Live right now, so come here. You can say hi. You say hi to the people. He wave? He's shy. He don't want to be here. All right, go ahead. That is cool. Let me finish this and then we'll talk. So with that being said, there's a time where you kind of take stock of everything and you have to really say, you know, is this worth it for the time being? Is the short term, and when I say short term, I'm not talking about a week, a day. I'm saying, is the short term 6 years worth, is it worth what I think this can be in 10 years? And ultimately, I said yes, and my business partner says yes, and we've aligned our goals to make that happen. But there's been downtimes. There's been instances of doubt. There's been the times when things didn't go your way, and you've had to kind of lick your wounds and keep going. But perseverance and dedication and your commitment to yourself and what you think you can accomplish, that's what separates those that do it successfully and get there eventually and those who don't. I think there's a saying that, you know, those people who quit never reach the finish line. And it's just a matter of time for those people who run in that marathon. They're eventually going to get there. And that's been our philosophy.
Cool. All right. So Shark Tank offers you guys $1 million.
Yeah.
You guys turn it down.
Alvin, why do we turn that down?
Because we were crazy. No,
I don't think so. I think you guys were geniuses, man.
Well, I mean, because here's the thing. There's a lot of questions that we were fielding throughout the whole session. Mind you, our whole pitch was about, an hour and 20 minutes, and they cut it down to 8 minutes. So there's a lot of little things that happened that wasn't really shown on camera. But, you know, our feeling was we knew exactly what our worth was, and we knew exactly what our numbers were, and we wanted to make sure that we're not being taken advantage of. And not to say that they were taking advantage of us, it's just that we knew that we wanted the right partnership at the right price. And so we had to stick to our guns and just kind of figure out, you know, how we can deal with it afterwards if deals just don't work. And just like in real estate, you know, like, you know, because I'm a real estate investor too. So I dabble in real estate. So this kind of relates in real estate as well, where you have to know your numbers before you buy your property. Otherwise, it's not gonna work out and you're gonna be at a loss. So for us to give away that much equity right off the bat, it's just like in real estate, like you profit with how you buy it and where your entry point was. So for us at the time, it just made more sense to just, you know what, we can do this ourselves. You know, if this doesn't work out, we can figure it out. We're resourceful people. And, you know, we had a lot going for us already. I mean, we're already sort of moving, and if they want to be partners with us, then they can join our ship instead of us joining their ship.
Cool.
You know, we knew our capabilities. We knew we had the resources in just the strength that we had for each other, and also belief in our product. So, you know, it was. You know, we still kind of look back and like, did we make the right decision? You know, and it's like one of those things where looking back, it made us stronger. Actually made us better businessmen because we were then self-reliant. And now having our success, we can actually say like, hey, we did it on our own. And that's really, that to me is more gratifying than, you know, it's cool to say like, hey, you got a deal, you know, but you know, there's a lot that can go wrong. You know, you never know what you're really getting into, you know, at the time. So, you know, we just have to believe in ourselves. That's all.
Yeah, the journey. Okay, so how do you guys deal with the failures that happen along the journey, right? So there's the micro failures, and then there's the big failures, the macro failures. How do you guys deal with it? What is like your damage control process like? Because all entrepreneurs, if there's anything that they have to be good at, it's learning damage control, right? Because if you're a business owner, you're getting paid the bucks to be able to put out the fires that happen as the business owner. And whether you want to admit it or not, as an entrepreneur, it's all on you. It's always you, right? So how do you guys? I don't know the retail model the way you guys do, so I don't know what that looks like for you. But how do you guys deal with it? because you have a partnership, I'm assuming you guys delegate that responsibility pretty well. But what kind of things could go wrong, and how do you guys handle it, and how have you recovered from it?
So with consumer product goods, I mean, there's a lot of risk in terms of, and a lot of upfront costs in terms of inventory levels that you need to maintain, distribution that you need to make sure that you have in the pipeline to your retail partners that you do business with, and then having backup inventory. As a small company with limited resources, you have to be mindful of that, because it's always a cash flow game. For us, I think the biggest setback that we had, and I would not call it a setback, a learning opportunity, which it was, and it was painful. We received 60,000 units of bad product.
Wow.
And at the time, we couldn't believe it. We were going. We had done 300,000 one year. We did 600. We hit 1.2 million. And we were on fire. We were ready to go, and we had sold out each year preceding that. And so we were upping our levels of inventory to meet the demand. And then we needed to branch out and bring in a new manufacturing source, just because we didn't want to have all of our eggs in one basket. And the new manufacturing source, Alvin went to China, visited the factory. They were Disney approved. They were great. It looked amazing. And in a lot of cases, things aren't what they're made out to be. And the factory did a bait and switch. They showed us one facility that they did manufacturing at that met all the standards. And once we left China, they switched it and outsourced it to a subpar factory that they were skimming off the top to maximize their money. We had no idea until the shipment arrived. We had a few indicators. We're like, hey, that's a little off. Is that being addressed? And the folks that we were working with, like, we're addressing it. Here are your golden samples. It's going to be just like this. And when the shipment gets there, when you get 2 containers that arrive full to the brim of product that you have customers waiting for, and you look at it and you're like, I can't sell this. Not that you go into panic mode, because panicking never helps you. You have to do a quick assessment as to what you're going to do. And it's not pretty. And what we decided to do was stop shipping. We had shipped one customer product, and they came back and they said, what is this? And we lost Barnes and Nobles because of that. Business was raging with Bye Bye Baby, Nordstrom's, things were going great, Target, things were going great. But as soon as we got that feedback from Barnes and Nobles and then Hobby Lobby, we made the executive decision to say, we're not shipping anymore, because we can't do permanent damage to our brand to the point where we can't come back from. You know, an Amazon review, they're golden. We were 5 stars. We were great. But as soon as we started to pump that product out, it would make our product ratings go down probably to a 1. And we didn't want to set ourselves up or put ourselves in a position we couldn't recover. So the hardest decision, I think, one of the hardest decisions in terms of being an entrepreneur, was us making the decision to stop shipping. And we did. And we went cold turkey, stop shipping. We contacted our retailers and we said, we received a bad batch of product and we can't send you subpar product. We care too much about our brand. We care too much about our integrity. And we care about the longevity of our relationship.
Did they already give you guys POs for that product?
Oh, we were shipping.
I don't even know the retail market, and I'm just trying to,
yeah, so how this works, as my 2-year-old wants to join the conversation, you get POs on a rolling basis, weekly basis from retailers. And so you're constantly shipping. They keep a level of inventory on hand, but because sales were going up so quickly, we wanted to make sure we had additional inventory, and we had a break in inventory. And so the shipment that was coming in was really back ordered. Oh. There were POs already issued and waiting for this. And so we had to go back and say, we can't do this and we're not going to do this. And these are the reasons why. And we were pleasantly surprised at the response. They, one after another, they said, Ray, we appreciate you guys being honest. Thank you for not shipping us crappy product that we would have had to deal with. And we respect your business and we respect you guys enough. We'll wait. We'll help you guys get through this. We're here as your customer. Let us know when you're back on track and we'll go from there. And that was the most painful yet rewarding decision that we ever made. And I think it was a defining moment for us in terms of who we are and what kind of company we wanted to be.
So from the moment that you figured it out to the moment that you started making that call, because this is another thing entrepreneurs do. Sometimes we have sleepless nights, Okay.
Yes.
So it wasn't like,
yes, we do.
It wasn't like you were at the Long Beach dock, opening it up and picking up the phone and calling them and saying, "Hey, I'm not shipping this to you." There was the moment that you figured it out. There was the moment that you let it sit. There's the moment that you like deal with it, and then you actually take action, right? So like, what were those nights like? Because I listen, I still have some of those nights. It's just part of being an entrepreneur.
You were right. We all do. Alvin, how long was that process? Was that because the shipment was late? So it was about.
I mean, just thinking back, like, mind you, this is the selling opportunity for us. This was like in the fourth quarter of the year, which is holidays. So we completely missed out on the holidays for that 1 year. And so there's also like added repercussions after that because, we borrowed money to pay for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the interest just kind of kept piling up, this, and this is just, sometimes you kind of just have to roll with the punches, right? Yeah. And being entrepreneurs, this is part of that sleepless night. Like, how are we going to be able to pay those bills? How are we going to be able to do that? And this is when you start kind of stepping up your game a little bit. And this is where Ray's like just calling. And I tell you, Ray is the beast. He's like an amazing sales guy. I mean, he's just like, he doesn't even think he's a salesperson, but he's like brilliant at it. He's an amazing negotiator and everything. So it's like, he's a beast with it. And so, we knew that we're going to get out of it. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of being able to manage our stress.
That was about, Paul, to answer the question, it was about 4 months. 4 months of managing.
I think it was even longer than that. Yeah, I think it was
the shipment was 2 months late. It was 2 months late, so we were stressing over that. And then it arrived, and both containers arrived probably within a week of each other. But you go in, you open it, and you're like, what is this?
Yep.
And then you go through that container, and then you try to filter out what you think you can work and salvage. And then you ship that, and then the customer gets back 2 weeks later and says, no, this is terrible. And then the second container arrives, and then you go through this, and then you're like, no, all of it is bad. Like, all of it. And so it was a good 3 to 4 months of sleepless nights.
Yeah, and maybe even like 2 weeks of just going through a product.
Yeah,
we had to go through all these boxes of products, like, in the middle of the night. Like, we literally were at the warehouse from like, I don't even remember, 6 at night to 6 in the morning, just going through and just filtering through, and every single one was like bad, and it's not just bad, it keeps getting worse.
I'll take her.
So, so
that's
we're just
what I'm saying. Those are the stories that the average person doesn't know about, right? Because entrepreneurship, and Gary Vee talks about this all the time, it's so glamorized these days, right?
Yes.
So everybody wants to be the CEO of something now, and they don't realize that you're the CEO and the janitor and everything else in between, So like, they don't get. That's one of the reasons that I really wanted us to chat today, because I want people to understand that, like, look, man, you got the title, but you're going to deal with cleaning up the toilets too.
Mm-hmm. You do. And I've cleaned out many toilets and swept many floors. And in fact, I still pack boxes. And that's the part of it in terms of any entrepreneur. You have to be willing to do what needs to be done to see your company to reaching it, or helping your company reach its goal. And it's not pretty all the time. And the analogy that you use in terms of everybody wants to be the lion until you got to do lion things, the uncomfortable things, firing people, getting out there, rolling up your sleeves and working until everyone else has gone home and still working, missing the time with the family, having to manage the family life. You compromise yourself in ways in which you have to have I say intestinal fortitude, and I want to say testicular fortitude, the intestinal fortitude, because sometimes you question yourself. You have to have the fortitude to weather it. And by no means am I perfect at it. No means is any entrepreneur perfect at it. But what I think we all have in common is that ability to see it through and know that my better days are ahead of us. So I just have to keep going.
Cool. All right, guys. So I've kept you away long enough. Real quick, any Black Friday specials that they should know about? Where can they get the product right now? Any new characters? I know you guys are always working on the new stuff. What are the new characters that you guys have for your lineup this year? And what can we expect for the holiday season?
So holiday season, you can pick up our product on soapsockskids.com. You can go to any specialty store that you have in your region. You can also go to target.com. You can go to Bye Bye Baby to pick up our product. And you can go to Walmart now and pick up a new line that I've created called Soap Pals, which are mini versions of soap socks. Those are available in store now and on your favorite website. And honestly, also for convenience, go to Amazon.com and search soap socks and you'll see a whole list of products that we have. In terms of Black Friday specials, we are going to be running a 30% off all of our products. You'll see that being advertised on Facebook and Instagram, and you'll see that across all platforms. What we have in the future, we're excited. We just got confirmation that we're going to be expanding our Disney line offer, which is going to be coming in 2020. We just secured Paw Patrol. I don't say just secured Paw Patrol. We are working on our Paw Patrol line for those parents of young kids. And also in the pipeline are our soap sock sounders, and it's the washable speaker technology. But more on that if you visit soapsockskids.com. Again, go to Amazon and just look for our ads on Facebook and Instagram to get the best savings on our product. But we're excited about this holiday season. We hope you guys all are too, and that you enjoy spending time with the family.
Listen, I owe you guys a big favor. I hope to see you at our Christmas party. Hopefully.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I appreciate you doing this for me. You guys don't know. This was exciting for me. I'm really thank you for taking the time out to come share this stuff. I mean, I learned stuff that I didn't even know you guys had gone through. And I'm excited for you, and I'm excited to know you guys, man.
Oh, man, thank you, Paul. You've always been good to us, man, and we appreciate the time.
Okay, guys. Take care. Have a
Take
good
care.
day. Bye.
Bye-bye.